You do exist. This is not a statement of a denial that there is a you. There is a you, but it's in what capacity there is a you. In other words, which bit of you is actually you and which bits are not you. And that's what all this teaching has been about over the centuries, and it's also explained in the Bible with the use of parables. But all of this information that we have on this planet has all come from the same source, and that source I call God. And it is that which is playing out everybody's story. And we, which it has also created, are a separate sense of consciousness. We're viewing that story from inside the mechanism that's being used to play the story. From a scientific point of view, all of this esoteric stuff comes from the quantum universe, and that's now been recognized within science that quantum is a real thing. So the quantum basically gives us the opportunity that there is many, many different versions of you and I, and that we're living in many, many different versions of this universe. The evidence that I see for this is in the thought process. So when you have thoughts, flights of fancy, where you're daydreaming or your creative thoughts, they're all different versions of you actually having that experience in a different universe. You've received it here through your brain, which is just a quantum receiver transmitter, and you receive it as a thought. And now those thoughts can come with feelings and all sorts of things, as you will observe if you pay attention to what's going on internally. So there is a you that's observing all of this from inside the actual mechanism, and our bodies are in a larger mechanism which is controlled by the quantum. So the evidence is there in both science, religion, and spirituality that we are indeed in a simulation. Finally, I will say and reiterate, you are not in control. You can't do anything with this information. You can simply know it, that's all. And then hope that at some point that it's been written in that now you know it, you can then begin to live as somebody that knows this information. There is a story of you, me, everyone, humanity, the world. There is a story here, and the story is playing out. It's actually coming to a conclusion. The evidence seems to be saying that in the end, there is the return of our Saviour, which, according to the Bible, was Jesus, which is fine, but it was noted that it would not actually be Jesus returning. And Edward Casey, who was known as the Sleeping Prophet, actually made a lot of very accurate predictions, and one of them that has yet to come to fruition is the end, basically. He said that would come about at the latter part of the 20th, early part of the 21st century. He also noted that the return of Jesus was actually the awakening of everybody. So we're all going to wake up to our Christ consciousness, which basically means we're all going to start being nice to each other and kind to each other and helpful, rather than being the destructive sort of capacity that we seem to be living in at the moment. This whole process of the end has been speeding up. We saw that reflected in the macro when they observed what they call the Big Bang. They said the expansion of the universe. They could see that it was speeding up, and the whole world is coming quickly to a conclusion. It will be at the end of this decade, and the world will be transformed into a world that we are currently not familiar with. In other words, heaven on earth. So if you're paying attention to the world we live in, and that includes cinema music, anything basically that is giving some kind of a description or an explanation of things, that's all coming from the same source. So it is all connected, and it's all saying the same thing, that this world that we're living in now is coming to an end.